In the blistering heat of the Arizona desert, where the sun hung like a merciless judge over endless miles of red rock and sagebrush, Elena Ramirez stumbled out of her broken-down pickup truck, her hands trembling from exhaustion and fear. She was 32, a single mother fleeing a life that had crumbled faster than the cracked earth beneath her boots, a toxic marriage, a foreclosed home in Phoenix, and a desperate drive toward a fresh start in California with her 5-year-old daughter, Mia, asleep in the back seat. The engine had sputtered to a halt an hour ago, smoke billowing from under the hood like a final sigh of defeat. No cell service, no water left in her canteen, and the horizon stretched empty in every direction. Panic clawed at her chest as she scanned the desolate road, praying for a miracle. That's when she heard the distant rumble, not thunder, but the creak of wooden wheels and the steady clip-clop of horses. A wagon emerged from the shimmering heat waves, pulled by 2 sturdy Mustangs, driven by a lone figure in a wide-brimmed hat. In her haze of desperation, Elena waved frantically, but as the wagon slowed, she misjudged her step and accidentally hoisted herself onto the sideboard, clutching the edge to steady herself. The cowboy at the reins pulled back gently, his weathered face breaking into a warm, unexpected smile. "Whoa there, ma'am," he drawled, his voice as smooth as aged whiskey. "Looks like the best mistake fate ever sent my way." Elena froze, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment as she realized her blunder. She quickly dropped back to the ground, dusting off her jeans, but the cowboy, Jack Harlan, as he'd later introduce himself, didn't seem fazed. He was in his late 40s, with sun-kissed skin etched by years under the open sky, a rancher from a small spread near Sedona who'd taken to the old trails for a supply run, preferring the rhythm of horses to the roar of engines. "No harm done," he said, tipping his hat. "You look like you could use a hand. Truck trouble?" Elena nodded, her voice catching as she explained her plight, glancing back at Mia, who stirred sleepily in the truck. Jack's eyes softened at the sight of the child. Without hesitation, he hopped down, inspected the engine, and shook his head. "Radiator's shot. Won't fix itself out here. Tell you what, hop on the wagon. I'll get you to the nearest town. Ain't far, and I've got room for the little one too." Elena hesitated, her urban instincts screaming caution, but something in his steady gaze, the genuine crinkle around his eyes, made her trust him. She gathered Mia and their meager belongings, a backpack with clothes, a few toys, and the last of their savings, and climbed aboard properly this time. As the wagon lurched forward, the desert wind whispering promises of change, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this mistake was the first thread in a tapestry fate was weaving. The journey began slowly, the wagon creaking over rutted paths that modern roads had long forgotten. Jack shared stories of his life on the ranch, raising cattle, mending fences, and finding solace in the stars after losing his wife to cancer 5 years back. "Folks think cowboys are all about grit and guns," he said with a chuckle, "but it's really about heart. Taking care of what's yours, and sometimes what's not." Elena opened up too, her words tumbling out like pent-up rain, the abusive ex-husband, the dead-end job, the dream of giving Mia a better life. Mia, wide-eyed and curious, peppered Jack with questions about the horses, and he patiently answered, even letting her hold the reins for a spell. As the sun dipped lower, painting the canyons in hues of gold and crimson, Elena felt a flicker of hope she hadn't known in months. But the desert held secrets, and as night fell, a sudden storm brewed on the horizon, dark clouds rolling in like uninvited guests, threatening to turn their serendipitous meeting into a trial of survival. The first drops of rain hit like scattered applause, but soon the sky unleashed a torrent, transforming the dry arroyos into rushing streams. Jack urged the horses onward, his voice calm amid the chaos. "Hold tight, folks. We've got shelter up ahead, an old miner's cabin I know." Elena clutched Mia to her side, the wagon jolting over slick rocks, her mind racing with doubts. Why had she trusted a stranger? Yet Jack's steady hands on the reins, his quiet reassurances, began to weave a bond stronger than the storm. They reached the cabin just as lightning cracked the sky, a dilapidated structure with a leaky roof but solid walls. Inside, Jack built a fire from scavenged wood, sharing his rations, jerky, bread, and a flask of coffee, without a second thought. "Ain't much, but it's honest," he said, handing Mia a blanket embroidered with stars, a keepsake from his late wife. As the rain pounded outside, stories flowed like the water-carving canyons. Elena spoke of her childhood in a bustling Mexican-American family in Texas, where kindness was currency, neighbors sharing meals during hard times, strangers helping with harvests. Jack nodded, his eyes distant. "Lost my pa young. Ranch was all we had. Learned early that selflessness ain't weakness, it's the rope that pulls you through." Mia, nestled between them, drew pictures in the dirt with a stick, giggling as Jack exaggerated tales of rodeos and ghost towns. But an unexpected turn came at midnight. Mia spiked a fever, her small body shivering despite the fire. Elena's heart plummeted, no medicine, no doctor in sight. Jack, without fanfare, rummaged in his pack and produced a vial of children's aspirin. "Kept it since, well, just in case," he murmured, his voice thick. It was a remnant from his dreams of fatherhood, shattered by his wife's illness. As he administered the dose, Elena saw the vulnerability beneath his rugged exterior, a man who'd given everything to care for others, only to be left alone. Dawn broke clear, the storm a memory, but the night had forged something profound. As they hitched the wagon and continued west, Elena realized this wasn't just a ride, it was a lesson in humanity's quiet power. Jack pointed out hidden oases, teaching Mia about desert blooms that thrive after rain. See? Even in the harshest places, life finds a way with a little help. Elena shared her fears of starting over, and Jack listened, offering no platitudes but real advice. "Kindness starts with yourself, ma'am. You've got the strength, just gotta believe it." Yet another twist loomed, a washed-out bridge ahead, forcing a detour through bandit-haunted badlands. Whispers of outlaws preying on travelers chilled Elena, but Jack's resolve steadied her. "We face it together," he said simply. In those miles, trust blossomed, revealing the selflessness that binds strangers into allies, turning a chance encounter into a shared path. The badlands unfolded like a scarred canvas, jagged rocks casting long shadows under the midday sun. Jack's wagon navigated narrow passes, the horses snorting uneasily. Elena's nerves frayed as rumors of modern-day rustlers, desperate men stealing from passers-by, echoed in her mind from roadside tales. Mia, recovered but quiet, clung to her mother's side. Then, the unexpected struck. Around a bend, three figures on horseback blocked the trail, bandanas masking their faces, rifles glinting. "Hand over your goods, cowboy," the leader snarled, eyes darting to Elena and Mia. Jack raised his hands slowly, his voice even. "Easy now. We ain't got much, just folks headin' west." But the outlaws advanced, one dismounting to rifle through the wagon. In that moment of terror, Elena's world narrowed to protecting Mia. She whispered for the girl to hide under the seat, her own hands balling into fists. Jack, however, surprised everyone. Instead of reaching for the old revolver at his hip, he spoke softly, addressing the leader by name. "Tom? That you under there? It's Jack Harlan, from the old Sedona spread." The outlaw paused, lowering his mask to reveal a gaunt, familiar face. A profound realization dawned. Tom was Jack's former ranch hand, fallen on hard times after losing his job to drought and debt. "Jack, didn't recognize you," Tom muttered, shame flooding his eyes. The others shifted uncomfortably, rifles lowering. What followed was no shootout, but a raw unveiling of humanity's fragility. Jack didn't condemn, he listened as Tom poured out his story. Family starving, no work, desperation driving him to crime. "I get it, Tom. Life's kicked us all. But this ain't the way." Elena watched in awe as Jack offered not judgment, but generosity. He divided his supplies, giving half to the men. "Take this, and promise me you'll head to the ranch. I'll vouch for you, works there if you're willin'. The outlaws, stunned by the mercy, accepted, riding off with nods of gratitude rather than threats. As the dust settled, Elena turned to Jack, her voice trembling. You could have fought. Why risk it? He met her gaze, a moment of deep realization etching his features. Because kindness disarms more than any gun. We're all one bad turn from being them. In that exchange, Elena saw her own past reflected, the choices born of pain, and felt a shift. Selflessness wasn't sacrifice, it was the bridge over life's chasms. The detour extended their journey, but it enriched it. Mia, emerging from hiding, asked innocent questions about the bad men, and Jack explained gently, sometimes folks lose their way, but a hand up can guide them back. Elena pondered her ex-husband's cruelty, contrasting it with Jack's compassion, realizing her strength lay in choosing empathy over bitterness. As they crested a ridge overlooking vast valleys, another twist, Jack revealed his own secret burden, a failing ranch, debts mounting, his wagon trip a last effort to sell heirlooms. Thought I'd go it alone, he admitted, but fate had other plans. The revelations deepened their connection, turning strangers into kindred spirits, proving that in vulnerability lies the true power of humanity. As the wagon approached the outskirts of a small California border town, the emotional climax built like a gathering wave. Elena's truck, towed behind since Jack had rigged it with ropes, symbolized her broken past, but now hope gleamed ahead, a mechanic's shop, a phone to call family. Yet Mia, growing attached, tugged at Jack's sleeve. Are you leaving us, Mr. Cowboy? Her words pierced the air, and Elena felt tears welling. Jack knelt, his voice cracking. Little one, life's about paths crossin', not always stayin'. But Elena saw the loneliness in his eyes, mirroring her own. In a surge of profound compassion, she made a transformative choice. Jack, come with us. California's big enough for dreams. You've given us so much, let us give back. Mia needs a grandpa figure, and I need a friend who's shown me what real kindness looks like. Jack hesitated, the weight of his ranch pulling him east, but Mia's hug and Elena's earnest plea melted his resolve. Reckon I could use a new horizon, he said, a smile breaking through tears. In that act of mutual generosity, Elena's offer extending a lifeline, Jack's acceptance honoring it, their lives transformed. He sold his ranch remotely, using proceeds to help Elena secure a small apartment and job in a community center, where she could channel her experiences into helping others flee abuse. Jack became the family's anchor, teaching Mia horseback riding and Elena the art of resilience, his selflessness inspiring a ripple effect. Together, they volunteered at shelters, turning their story into a beacon for the weary. Years later, as Elena watched Mia graduate high school, Jack by her side, she reflected on that fateful mistake. The heartwarming truth was clear, in a world of isolation, kindness weaves unbreakable bonds, selflessness ignites change, and humanity's power lies in lifting each other up. Fate's best errors aren't accidents, they're invitations to hope. And in the vast American landscape, from desert trails to sunlit valleys, that hope endures, inspiring all who dare to climb aboard.